facilitator, especially when he has made this program to be free and improving the loss of the people. It's a way of his own giving back to the system. We appreciate him, we thank him a lot. And we also thank Notori for providing an enabling environment, the good training structure and facilities that were provided for the successful dishing out of the training. We thank everybody for coming despite the problem of the road, especially the broken bridge. You can see how important the training seems to be to people. Thank you very much for everyone, and we want to say that we wish the instructor and the trainer a safe journey back to Lagos.
I got jumped into facility management. I once worked somewhere. I was recruited as a market assistant. But when I got there, the facility manager left. And they just threw the role on me. But because I had people management skills, it was a little easy for me. I was pushing through it, they were giving me direction, I was pushing through it. When I left, people were calling, we noticed in this place, everything has changed. So I thought, facility management, this is a good one, I should be able to talk. So I saw Mr. Paul's advert, I think it was on LinkedIn, and I said, okay, facility manager, it can't be that bad, let me just go. When I came for the course, I discovered that I didn't really know much. I didn't know anything at all. I was just skimming through all this work. I learned a lot actually. I was barely scratching the surface before, but that course, it was really intense. It was deep. I learned so many things. As the exam, I think I passed it the first time, but Mr. Paul, when we were talking, he told me that score is, he said it's okay, but I think you can do better. You should write this exam. I said I'm not writing this exam. Because that first one, it was hard. So my wife told me, she said, do this thing again, and you've done it the first time you go, so it's too late. You can write it. I was already, if I said let me do it again, I did better at that time around. So I said, okay, no, this is good. But now, I don't work for any company facility. I get to the call me and tell me to do proposals for facility management. I get people that call me and tell me that they need a facility manager, they need somebody that they can trust, they need somebody that can work for it. So yeah, it's what I think I've grown. Very nice to be involved, very nice to all that, everybody that pushed us to be the best.
Morning, my name is Dr. Max-Migold, Group Managing Director, Global PFI. We are an integrated real estate services company based in Lagos, operating in 8 countries in Africa, with strong partnership with international agencies, international organizations. Good morning, my name is Dr. Max-Migold, Group Managing Director, Global PFI. We are an integrated real estate services company based in Lagos, operating in 8 countries in Africa, with strong partnership with international agencies, international organizations, in the forefront of developing the FM industry, developing competencies, working with associations and professional bodies in the industry in Nigeria and outside to elevate FM. We're also involved in developing programs in universities and supporting the current universities running first amendment programs, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. The company has been existing since 2000, and we are one of the leading industry players in Nigeria and Africa. We have 185 employees as of today, with most of them professional FMs. Recently, we've had to send our employees to training at Max-Migold, and also we've also done trainings using the ProFM training system leading to the certification for ProFM. We have 7 people in the organization today who are ProFM certified, 1 in Ghana and 6 in Nigeria.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's do a quick sound check. You can just raise your hand on the Zoom app to give me a thumbs up or something to give me a sign that my audio is good and my video is good. Okay, thank you. All right, I got the sign I need. Means that my video is good and my audio is good. And I believe you also see my screen. It's a pleasure to come to you again this launch hour, today the 14th of March 2024. I'm excited that I've been able to keep this going with the Max-Migold team for some time now. And it's a pleasure that we can always reach you through this medium. This is part of our series to give back knowledge, skills, capacity building to our teaming followers. And we have this series we've been running all year through to date. We intend to run it through to the end of the year. We have enough content to cover all of the soft skills you will need, all of the desktop productivity skills you will need, all of the workplace productivity skills you will need, leadership skills you will need to navigate whatever career you find yourself. But being the forerunner of FM education, being the prime mover of the FM industry in terms of capacity building, we are adapting most of our content to help people in the built environment. Everybody that works in the built environment, whether you are in design or planning, financial investment, development, construction, and all the steps that takes place before facility management is designed to build for the facility manager. Because we are the custodians of the built environment. We are the ones that receive it, and we are the ones that manage it on behalf of the users and the owners. Okay, so we have to be well trained, and we are inviting everyone in the built environment, to come and become trained in facility management. You cannot design properly, you cannot plan well, you can't manage the properties, you cannot take better investment decisions, you cannot be a good quantity surveyor, project manager if you don't know exactly what happens through the life cycle of a facility. So you all need to be trained as facility managers. And so I invite you to two significant events coming up in Max-Migold on the 20th of April. I had a bit of internet disruption. I think I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. See if I can share my screen again. In my introduction, I was just talking about how important it is for all of us to be competent, conversant with facility management principles. And to make that possible, I'm inviting everyone, be you an engineer, estate agent, property manager, construction, professional, if you're in administration, corporate services, or you know anyone in any of these professions, invite them all to the April 20th free facility management training certificate that we offer in Max-Migold. It's going to happen, virtual and in person. We open it for the first 100 to come in for the in-person opportunity. And then we have opportunity for 1,000 people to join virtually and learn for free. If you've taken part in the previous free training session, you may not need to be in this one, but you can join virtually so you can refresh yourself if you want to. But I would say no need to reapply for the certificates online because it's the same certificate. We want to reach as many people as possible with the certificates that we offer. On the 6th of May, we start our FM Mastercraft Diploma second batch for the year, which is our batch 21 altogether. Where we are expecting to have a minimum of 50 people in class and 100 people on the virtual program. All our previous classes have had close to 100, and one or two of them more than 100 people in class, and we invite you to take advantage of this. We are building a very, very formidable network of professionals. You need to be in the alumni network. You need to see how much support and how much interactions, how much information is being shared on a day-to-day basis. So your after training value is way more than what you get for joining the training. Secondly, we will put you on queue in our talent management pool. You're going to be managed, your career is going to be managed perpetually until you retire. What this means is that opportunities coming for more advanced, more senior, more rewarding opportunities or roles, and we will immediately call you up, to take advantage of them. So everybody keeps growing. Okay, we have that available, and then we have business support for those of us who started enterprises and you need advice. Prepare bids, advice, prepare your proposals, reach out, make presentations. You get such free tips and advice on a regular basis. And then for those who are building their careers in companies, you're going for interviews, you trying to apply, and you're thinking you need some reference. Max-Migold provides all of that as part of the lifetime values we give for the FM diploma. And so it is beyond just understanding FM and getting certification for facility management. It is a management of life and career that we provide in the FM diploma. And the FM diploma itself is an internationally recognized certification by most organizations anywhere in the world. Will check back with us to say, has this person been trained? We demonstrate to them what kind of rigor you've gone through in taking the program, and the certificate is backed by recognition that we provide in our portal, so that anytime they want to verify, it's easy to verify. So it's a globally recognized certification you acquire. Between now and May 6th, many people who are thinking of taking the program right now are thinking about the 600,000 for the in-person and the 500,000 for the virtual training being like a Herculean task to overcome. What I advise you to do is take advantage of the flexible payment arrangements we have in place. Start now, pay whatever you can until May 6th, set up whatever is left in our direct debit payment system, and the program is guaranteed for you. Provided you've set up your direct debit, you can take the program and you can spread it for as long as 6 months from the day the program starts. Okay, so we've taken care of all the concerns anybody may have. For those who don't have jobs or are working in one industry and are thinking of transitioning to another, I encourage you to take the diploma because this opportunity will give you an internship placement that will help you put in your CV valuable experience for 6 months. And not just 6 months internship that we're providing. There's a series of projects that you execute within those 6 months that will define your capability and the things you can do for any organization as part of what the FM diploma offers. So I invite you to take advantage of this and be on board. Okay. Today in the launch hour series, we are looking at a very interesting topic. I hope you see my screen. Please give me a thumbs up if you see my screen that I'm sharing, team building through chemistry. If you see my screen, kindly give me a thumbs up on the Zoom app. Yes, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Godwin, rather, and appreciate that feedback. So I know we're on course. So team building through chemistry. Teams are an integral part of any business. The key to successful team building is addressing the importance of chemistry between team members. We in facility management know that we cannot deliver anything individually. Everything we deliver in facility management for our clients are based on working together. So this is a very important topic or subject for us working in the built environment, okay? So if you have a group of people working, it's not just enough to put them together and say, oh, go and deliver, right? There are certain things that come with each person. There are certain baggage, there are certain identities, there are certain personalities, there are certain features of the individual that comes with them into that group, into that project. If you ignore them, if you don't deal with those dynamics, you will end up, just having no success. You have to focus on the group's chemistry as you build a team. You increase the chance of avoiding pitfalls and develop a sense of unity among your co-workers. So what are our objectives? We want to understand our team development model. We want to identify team chemistry, create vision and goals, appreciate diversity. This is something that we often fail to deliberately cultivate in our teams. Diversity, people who think in divergent ways, who can bring in different kind of ideas and innovation to solution for problems we encounter. And then, of course, because of this diversity that we're even encouraging you to bring on board, there will be conflict, right? But how do you manage those conflicts? Business is a team sport. It's never solo. There's hardly anything you can achieve all by yourself in our profession, all right? So what then is teams? What's a team? A team is a group of people that have been put together to achieve a common goal. To achieve a common goal. That's the core definition. It is the goals that the team is put together to achieve that makes it a team. That makes it a team. Okay. So if there is a purpose for coming together, that purpose is the goals that we have to achieve. That's the why. We all have to understand the why before, before we even set to put together a team. A team can be a functional team. This is, functional team is a standing team. It's like, this is how we are structured. Your typical organogram, organizational structure in the organization is mostly functional, right? So you have the head of the department, for example, and people with different functions within that department. And then you have cross-functional teams, a project team, for example, that is trying to, build a new head office annex. Probably will need somebody from HR, or somebody from procurement, somebody from accounts, somebody from IT, all reporting in addition to their normal departmental or functional team heads, also reporting to a project manager, right? So that's a cross-functional team, right? And then you have teams that self-manage. They do not have much oversight as members work independently towards goals. So these are teams that are, united in purpose, but they are loosely connected. Other forms of teams are remote or virtual teams, teams that may not see themselves. They're working across geographic areas. Some teams can even be around themselves, but they never have to come to any physical in-person meetings, only virtual. They work on platforms like Slack, project management platform, Kanban systems, where tasks are followed up and monitored and moved from point to point, and performance is measured all remotely. And then you have teams that are sprung up for certain problems, for certain issues, deal with it and disband. They are called ad hoc teams, right? So if you have a particular issue you want to deal with, and you believe that if you put somebody from finance and the FM guy and somebody from IT, three of them can form a team to brainstorm on how they can use resources within the organization and even external resources to solve that problem, you've created an ad hoc team. Once that problem is solved, once that opportunity has been taken advantage of or something has been made out of it, that activity can now be moved into a functional team or a cross-functional team in form of a project, but the ad hoc team can now be disbanded based on that achievement that has been made. Okay, how do you feel about being on teams? Teams are not launched correctly. If not, there'll be little chance of succeeding. Many people do not feel the idea of being on team. There are some people that just like to do their own thing. If you like to do your own thing and you dread working in teams or working with people, it's not all professions that are good for you. There are some professions that somebody can do. I mean, for example, if you're a painter, a creative person who is just trying to produce, an oil paint on canvas, you don't need a committee to deliver that kind of output, right? That's a good project. That's a good profession to be in if you don't want to work in teams. Because you come up with the idea, you come up with the concept, you create out the frame and structure and the concept, and then you start building it out, right? But if you have to deal with clients, if you have to provide solutions to clients, you need to understand how to work with people, right? Now, the flip side to that is some managers don't understand the concerns of people when you're just throwing them together. You don't take the time to look at who they are, what their preferences are, the kind of things they've been doing, the kind of sentiments they have. You just go ahead and bunch them together. You create a forced team. And if you do that, there's also a high likelihood that that forced team will not achieve its success. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to first sort out to be sure that all team members are compatible 100%. No. You don't want to achieve that first before you create a team, because that's almost impossible, right? But what you want to be conscious of is there are certain processes you must be aware of. You must be aware of certain dynamics that will play out when different people are being put together. So because you understand that, you have to put certain plans in place to ensure that you can respond to each person one by one. You can look into their concerns, use certain steps, to review what you are putting out. For example, defining the task in such a way that they all understand, ensuring that each person comes with some valuable contributions from their center or area of strength into the team, and that they all have a sense of identity. If I'm in the team, I'm there because I am valuable in one area or the other. So because you have reasoned all that out, it becomes easy for you to bring them together and then steer them to achieving. So it's not just a matter of putting people together and say, oh, you are now a team. Declaring a group to be a team does not automatically make it functional. Too often, teams fall apart. Common causes of teams breaking down includes, the goals are set by the manager, by the leader, and drop for the team. The team members who have been asked to come and achieve that goal, they were not part of defining the goal and may not even have a full understanding of the goal that they are there to achieve. Sometimes the roles of individuals or even the role of the team in achieving that goal not clearly defined. When people are not sure of their responsibilities, the rest assured it's not going to work. And then sometimes communication may not be structured, right? So the manager has created a team and made somebody the leader, and that guy goes quiet for some time, calls meetings anytime he feels like, with no agenda, always dishing out instructions and not carrying people along. That communication pattern destroys the team. Just let him do whatever he wants to do, and there's no cohesion in the team, right? And because starts, with that communication breaking down, you see a leadership failure. And once that leadership failure takes place, you observe no relationship between team members. A proper communication will lead to people understanding themselves, being able to converse one with another, and being able to show leadership to each other. All right. A committed team or a successful team will have people who are committed to achieving the goal. They will be committed because at least first they understand it, and secondly, they know what they can do to make that goal, to achieve the goal, right? And then because you didn't just say, you are doing this piece of the work, you are doing that piece of the work, you first shared with all of them the big picture of what needs to be done. It becomes easy for each person to, while they are doing their own bits of the work for that committee or for that team, they are seeing clearly how that piece of the work adds to what every other person is doing, right? It's easy for somebody who knows what the big picture is to do his own bit well, to contribute when someone else is not doing his own bit well, because he knows that even if I do my own very well, there may be an overall failure if the next person does not do his own. And this leads to what we call a system thinking approach, where each person understands what he's supposed to do, understand what should come to him as input from another person's process, understand how his own finished work becomes an input, because if I have an output, somebody is going to use it to move this project forward, right? Because I understand this system view of things, it is now easy for me to not only focus on what I am doing as my bit of the job, I'm also prompting the guy who is going to give me his output to become my input, to be conscious of the quality I expect, prompt to ensure that there are no delays, there are no material failures or deficiencies in what it gives me. Because if it gives me the wrong stuff, I will either have delays or poor quality output. I'm afraid I don't want that to happen. I'm not going to ignore him until he gives it to me. I'm prompting him to make sure he's checking, he's collecting the right data, and he's doing the right thing while I'm doing my own. At the same time, I expect the guy I'm going to give my output to also be watching what I'm doing, to be sure that I'm on course, because he doesn't want to be waiting. He doesn't want to get something that he has to do a work or reject it because I didn't do it well, right? I'm conscious, he is conscious. At the end of the day, we all prompt ourselves. That's the whole idea of teamwork. And then when we come together, we're all from different backgrounds, different understanding, different way of thinking. We will meet challenges. Some of the challenges are with the job. The job is hard. You have a sales target. You all have to brainstorm on how to achieve the sales target. But as you call the customer, they are telling you, we're not buying, we're not buying. There are challenges. You cannot just throw in the towel and say, they are telling me the economy is bad, or we cannot sell, or I don't know what to do. No, you can't do that. Those are challenges. It comes with the job itself. There are some other challenges that come from people that are put together in the team, from their mindset, religious, cultural stereotypes and backgrounds, the way they like being talked to, all kinds of things can bring confusion within the team. Your resilience is your ability to understand adversity and find the strength to overcome the obstacles in your way. No teamwork can be successful without people who are resilient as part of the team. Like a journal says, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence will win championships. Okay. So one person's effort, one smart, intelligent person is not enough to win in the big league, in the big pictures. It can win in small areas, aspects of it, but when it comes to overall system delivery, you need to work as a team. So let's talk about, the team development model. We've heard about the 4 phases of, team creation: the forming, the numbing, the storming stages. It goes through forming, numbing, storming, and performing. That's the fourth one, performing. And we'll talk about them one after the other. The forming is where you put them together. So we've all identified who can do what we're trying to achieve as a goal for this team. And then we say, okay, fine, you've been appointed, or you just like to work in this area. We are forming an informal group to discuss sustainability, for example, to brainstorm on energy efficiency or whatever. Forming is that stage where we come together, right? We either we're appointed or we appointed ourselves. One way or the other, we are interested in what we should be doing. When we come together, because of our differences, you'll find a little bit of friction, right? So that's what the storming stage talks about. A little bit of friction. There will be that process of hitting through certain rocks to understand ourselves. Some people want to be domineering, for example. Some want to just keep quiet, don't want to talk. Some are so withdrawn. Some have fear. Some have anger issues. Different types of sentiments will be brought in. That's the whole idea of the storming stage. Sometimes you will find the storming stage before the numbing stage. Sometimes you will have the numbing stage before the storming stage. And in many teams, you will have storming repeating itself again and again. If you work in milestones, every milestone comes with certain deliverables. You may have to storm again, breakthrough challenges. The numbing stage is the stage where people are beginning to stabilize, they're understanding themselves, their roles and responsibilities. They're beginning to see how each person's role fits in within the other. They're becoming more and more functional at this stage, right? So don't assume that numbing has happened, therefore there cannot be any further storming, right? So just be conscious that it's possible to still have storming. So numbing settled, we know what we're doing, we're trying to do it, can also be followed by repeated episodes of storming when there are issues to be resolved, provided we are working through those issues in a functional way, not a dysfunctional way. In a functional way, we are facing the issues, they are work related. We are not allowing personalities and ego, come in to disrupt the progress we are making. So that's the whole idea of the numbing that follows the storming. Even if the storming happens again and again, just be conscious that another storm is coming, right? Through this process, we get to the point where the team starts performing. Highly effective teams are the ones that reach the performing stage. They have moved beyond storming and numbing to become a well-functioning group. At this stage, people, are seeing the big picture. They are secure in their roles. They are more likely to take risk in an effort to achieve goals. And then they have, a positive mindset towards the job that has been given to them, right? And then they begin to look out for each other, as part of this performing stage, because there's so much I can do in my own role. If I'm not looking out for the next person, we may end up still as a failure as a group. Build your team a feeling of oneness, of dependence on one another, and of strength to be derived by unity. Vince Lombardi, right? It's very important. This is where the chemistry comes in. The ability to influence team chemistry requires an understanding of what affects the chemistry and the role that leadership plays in the process. We don't often talk in business circles about liking each other, loving our colleagues, or being friends. In fact, some people don't even like the idea of being told that it's good to understand each other, it's good to have chemistry, it's good to be able to influence each other, it's good to like each other. So people don't like the idea, just believe that when you're at work, it's work, there's nothing personal, keep it out of it, just face the job. And so they become very arrogant in their approach to people. They talk rough, they focus on learning the skills, and they don't really care, whose ox is God. That's not how teams deliver. You can have team members that know everything that needs to be done. but they refuse to do it, or they are doing it in opposite direction and undercutting each other just because they refuse to build chemistry. So you, the manager, putting them together must always think about this. When we say chemistry, we're talking about affinity. We're talking about connection. We're talking about communication flow. We're talking about fondness and likeness of one another, because these are powerful influences, powerful forces to make us achieve what we want to achieve. We cannot ignore them. You cannot, succeed working with somebody you are neutral to negative towards. You have to be positive towards the person. In fact, when you feel like not going to work or not doing your bit, you are thinking about how that person would feel if I don't contribute my bit, right? Because you have a feeling of concern or interest in that person, right? So it's very important that we think about what kind of things we create this chemistry. Ways to promote the likelihood that team members will function well together, beginning with choosing the correct blend of team members. So that balance has to be there first. Not everybody can work with themselves. Not everybody. You cannot force it. There are some people that shouldn't be in certain teams. They're just there as trouble for the team. You have to be able to see that certain behaviors, you may not be able to adjust their behaviors in a hurry. Don't bother. Don't put them in the team. All right. And then you might think that, some people are playing certain roles to be left alone, right? They play certain nasty nuisance factor personality exhibition or demonstration so that you don't add them to work. They don't want to work, so they play, that they are not good for it. They are not good with team, right? And as such, you should leave them alone. You have to monitor and see if that is a pattern that is coming up, because I will gladly let you off the organization if you can't be productive. If you prove to me again and again and again that I shouldn't include you in whatever team that will provide results for us, then what am I paying your salary for? What are you sitting, warming the chairs and getting paid for, right? Because in most of the deliverables we give, we need to work with people. If you prove that you can't, then of course, find another job, find another career where you have to be solo in whatever you are doing. So we share the vision of what we want to achieve, and try to excite the team members so that they begin to have a sense of ownership of it. And then there's also the issue of culture. Make everyone feel welcome and equally important to the group. Value all roles and share successes. Remove negative influences from the team before they become an influence. Very negative, all those negative influences. Deal with it before. There are some teams where everybody are turning towards, competitive spirit to achieve a lot. They are working up, and then all of a sudden somebody joins the team who doesn't want to do well. It's not picked out, it's not identified, the issue is not fixed. And others begin to be like, okay, so why am I even burning myself out? Why don't I just behave like this person is nonchalant? And then before you know what's happening, everybody starts racing downwards. You must be able to identify who started that downward behavior. Plug that person or give that person a public demonstration of penalties for such behavior, and then let others know that that behavior of poor performance or poor productivity cannot be tolerated. Okay, so it's very important that we understand what puts together, what makes team members tick, what makes them good, and that starts with the chemistry that we build within them. But you as a manager, you as the boss who is trying to put together this team, you are the one that saw first what vision you want to achieve. You are the one that saw the potential of each person. You are the one that decided to put them together to work on the project that you are trying to achieve or get the goal that you are trying to. You must give enough information, not just to the person you are nominated as the team leader, but to everybody, right? So that they see things from your point of view. You don't put together in a team without explaining to them one by one, whether collectively or individually. They must all understand what the end goal is, right? By the time they understand their role in the vision, it is easy for them to know exactly how their own performance plugs into what the end goal is. And not everybody that tells you, I am an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a facility manager, I'm an engineer, know exactly how that skill or that knowledge or that ability will contribute to the overall achievement of the goal. You need to have a set of directions, a set of instructions to guide them. And as much as possible, have a structured approach to doing things. I know that nowadays there's so much flexibility. Team members are put together, the vision is shared with them, and they are allowed to do as they like. They are allowed to act in a way that provided they understand, we just say, okay, get them to use their discretion to achieve what we are trying to achieve, and so on and so forth, right? But if you have a standard, if you have a system in place for how things should be done, it makes it easier. That way, an individual's personal weakness or an individual's personal brilliance will not be the determinant of the success of what you are trying to achieve. You should have some level of control. All right. So to the question of diversity, we tend to like people who are like us. And so some people like to put their tribal people around themselves. Some like to put people who are just as aggressive or not as aggressive as themselves. Some like to put personalities, that align with their own personality around themselves. But if you have the same way of thinking and reasoning and culture and whatever stereotype we form for ourselves, we're all going to go in the same direction, failure or success, and most likely going to be failure. When you don't have people in the team who can challenge ideas, who can bring in different angles to the reasoning, we might all go brainstorm on an issue and come up with a very foolish idea that when somebody else hears it, is now wondering, so why don't you consider A, B, C, or C, D, E, right? What did all of you think that ended up with this myopic or locked-in approach to this situation? That's because you did not embrace diversity. So diversity is a key aspect of team formation. A diverse team can be a great strength for the organization, right? But it can also lead to conflict, because this is where the differences that we are trying to harness, can become a problem. Not everybody likes to be challenged. I'm the team lead. I've laid out what I want us to do, and somebody's saying, "Hey, wait a minute. Why are we using 4 steps when we can do this in 2 steps, right? Can we not make this and take away that?" And the team leader is like, "Are you challenging my authority?" Before you know what's happening, a conflict can brew from there, right? So, diversity is good, because that thinking of why are we not doing it in 2 steps? Why are we going to work in 4 steps? We're going to be wasting extra 2 days if we go with this approach, right? That analysis, that way of thinking that challenges the status quo is very important, but then that can become an issue. The ego of somebody can be tripped, and that can become a big problem. So that's why we say diversity is a double-edged sword. The diversity can be a great strength for the organization, but it can also lead to conflict if not addressed correctly, right? It's complex. If the leader is careful and encourages individuality, it is possible to make diversity work as you develop your team and chemistry. It's very important to recognize that we'll all be different. In fact, deliberately go for differences, like people from different sexual orientation, people from different professional backgrounds, people from different tribal and cultural backgrounds, people from different level of enlightenment. They all have something that they bring in. So it's important that we, try to harness this diversity. It's very important. Point of view is a big deal. Some people will be in a team and they will not talk. They'll just keep quiet because it looks as if they are the only divergent, viewpoint in the group. And they feel, if I say it, I'll probably be attacked or I will not be accepted. If you are the team leader or the manager who put together that team, ensure that you democratize, the expression of viewpoints, right? Let everything be said. Let everything be considered, not based on who said it or whose idea it was, not based on anything, but based purely on the idea itself in a rational manner, right? So that's the thing. Everything has to do with cultural background, ethnicity, age, value, and skills, especially age and some of the cultures that aligns with age. If people are a certain age, there's that assumption that they are wiser. So the moment they say something, everybody are shy. They don't want to say anything against it, especially when you are from certain ethnic background. You just feel obliged to allow something bad to happen because the idea came from somebody who is older, and you are not brought up to challenge older people, right? So you're not going to just challenge an older person if that's your culture and that's your background, but there are polite ways to ask certain questions that will get that older person to rethink the thought pattern, right? But again, sometimes you end up with situations where arguments ensue. The person is not taking it, is not even considering anything outside his own way of thinking. And in your mind and your level of exposure, you might just see that person as being myopic, but you can't do anything about it and you'll be forced to accept, right? I expect that we, as team leaders, try to understand these complexities and not allow things to go out of hand. That's the main thing. Don't allow things to go out of hand. Don't allow mistakes to be perpetuated because of any of this kind of sentiments. Understanding all the benefits that diversity provides is difficult when diversity itself is so complex, right? Individual team members all have different expectations, methods of effective communications, and motivation. The factors leading to diverse teams can be that tricky. Being able to address each team member's consideration, prevent conflict, mediating conflict when conflicts arise, and just ensure that nobody is hurt. And I can tell you, this is not a very easy feat, right? It's not easy to be able to manage all of this and ensure that nobody feels hurt or distressed in the process. Things that cause, conflicts and how to deal with them. Of course, conflict is, the background, the main thing that you expect in divergent groups or teams. What we should try and do is remove insults, remove trying to denigrate each other, remove, certain abuse of people's backgrounds. For example, you have Muslims and Christians in the group, and then you begin to attack how the Muslims dress, for example, or how the non-Muslims dress. You begin to attack how certain people behave or say certain things. You allow those stereotypes to go away from the job you have at hand to be attacking their individuality. That is not acceptable. And it's a very common thing. You see verbal abuse everywhere because you are older, because you're in higher authority or something, you feel you have the right to attack people's individuality. This is very wrong. We should not do that at all. We should encourage employees to express their cultures. If you come to work for Max-Migold, for example, I don't ask your religion, I don't ask you your tribe. It's just normal for me not to bring those discussions up at all because I don't want any kind of sentiment to feed into my mind, any kind of stereotype view about you to come. No way, it will never come up. Neither in your interview, it will never come up for how long you work with me. But performance on the job, relationship with each other, the team bonding and the team spirit will create are all going to be used to assess you on an ongoing basis. And even when I get someone from a certain background or certain culture behave in a certain way, it doesn't affect my my decision about someone else because the next person coming on board, I don't even ask whether he fits into that stereotype because I don't even bother to ask. The only time I had a little bit of a challenge was, some 5-6 years ago where I had young people in their early 20s, less than 30, come to work and they have very high expectations from the job and very low commitment in terms of what they want to give. They want to take. Entitlement spirit was really choking at that point. And I felt, you know what, I'm not employing any young person again, But then I thought about it and said, no, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. I should employ all kinds of people. And today I have, people of all ages working together, and we're not having the kind of issues we had because I just decided that I'll get young people who are good, right? I can't say because a certain group of 5 or 6 or 10 young people acted the same way, therefore all young people are bad, right? So that's something we should watch out for. The very important thing is ensure that because we said a team is made up of a goal, a group of people with a common goal. That's what the team is, right? Those goals must be set clearly. They must be SMART goals. There'll be another day to talk about what the SMART of goals are. Watch out for our series. We have very fantastic topics running throughout the year. So we'll have that coming your way soon. It's important that everyone in the team understands the vision. A very clear vision will reduce the intensity of the conflicts that might crop up, right? It will help people to see that what we are arguing about is irrelevant to the matters that we are supposed to be dealing with. And if it's irrelevant, why don't we ignore it, set it aside for now, and deal with the matters that should give us the results we need? So when there's an understanding of where we are going, we begin to focus on communication. How do we talk to each other? Are we going to, all team members talk to themselves, or talk to the team leader who communicates back to everybody? We begin to share common accountability. Once the goals are clear, if I do my bit, I take accountability for it. I expect to also take accountability for your own bit. And then we begin to build trust with each other. This trust can be built more easily if we don't have people who are trying to pawn their jobs off. There are some people who just, they're in the team, they don't want to do their bit. If you give them their own work on their own, not in the team, they tend to do a lot better. We don't want to be that to be happening, because each person should carry his own weight when in the team. Roles should be clearly defined. It's important that you have a matrix for dividing what needs to be done. It's not enough to say, all four of you, go and do this. That's the goal. That's the mission. But break that down into specific tasks. Break that down into assignment that people should handle. Each person should have the willingness to accept his own role and responsibility and make the effort to push for it to get it done. Okay. Functional teams with effective chemistry will take on their roles willingly. They will not feel under pressure. When making roles, it's important not to overstep boundaries. Do not take over another person's role. Very important. Sometimes you may think, oh, I'm just being helpful. You know, this is not working. I'm trying to step in. I have been in such situations where I feel we are not achieving our goal. This person is not doing it. The other person is not doing his bit. And then I finish mine and then I jump into no. There has to be communication on how I can support and get permission from that person on what support I'm bringing on board, so that I don't end up in a power struggle situation. There are so many times when we have things to achieve, but we're struggling over territory and turf, and why should the quantity surveyor be doing the project manager's job? Why should the architect be doing an engineer's job, you know? And then we end up destroying the whole thing because we are fighting over territories. The job itself is not being done. I want to get the job done. If I have team members who don't want to get the job done or are not committed to it, I just can't wake up and jump into their field and take over their jobs. I just can't. It takes a lot of emotional intelligence for me to understand that this is still their beat. And if I want to help, I have to get to help them to achieve it. If they need my help, they would give me the approval or the go ahead to go ahead and jump in and help. Okay. All right, so that's where we're going to stop in today's lunch hour. Our lunch hour is going to remain lunch hour in 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, joining every Thursday by 1 p.m. And I can assure you, each of all